Call of Duty Global Pro League Stage 2 playoffs. It's time for Championship Sunday to kick off with our pre-show. Of course, we are at day 3, the last day of our Stage 2 playoffs. And what a Stage 2 playoffs it's been. Of course, just to quickly recap what everyone is playing for here. $500,000 on the line. A big chunk of cash, of course, being taken by our first place team, finishing as champions of Stage 2, $200,000. Second place walks away with $120,000. Third place, $80,000. Fourth place, $40,000. Of course, at this point, we do only have 4 teams remaining here on Championship Sunday, and we'll take a quick look at our bracket. Of course, starting with our winners bracket. Our winners bracket final already predetermined coming into today. Of course, it will be E United versus Team Envious Team. And I don't think anyone would have had Envy going this far.
Oh, no way. But regardless, you have to give both teams props. The fact that Envious was able to pull out that series versus LG was probably, I don't know which one is more impressive, to be honest, but the fact that Envious got outslayed so heavily, still came out with the win. I guess S&D, well, it'll get you a little far in tournaments. So.
Definitely will. Of course, Search and Destroy wins championships. That's the famous line in Call of Duty. Merc, and for Envy, their search went from arguably their worst to quite literally their best.
Well, it's what's keeping them in this tournament, honestly. Besides Slasher, those other 3 guys, they have not been slaying well. As you can see, you know, their hard point is at a 50%. Their uplink is at a 0%. Really, their respawns just have not been there, honestly. Besides Slasher, nobody's really putting up those slaying numbers, but they're Search and Destroy. 100% win ratio this weekend. It's the reason they're in the winners bracket final.
Slasher going beast mode, that is for sure. Then, of course, on the flip side, E United. I mean, this is the team who, you know, we talk about in groups, Momos. Yeah, you know, Clay comes in, the hype factor, the energy. They look like they could win a championship again.
Yeah, they really do. The addition of Clay is kind of not only giving Clay the fire, it's giving the rest of those 3 teammates, you know, that same fire. I think, you know, they want to beat the likes of, obviously, Optic Gaming, Envy. They've already outplaced FaZe. Obviously, that trade came in.
Feels good, man, for Clay.
FaZe wanted that trade, you know. E United, arguably, they were happy. Obviously, not individuals, but, you know, they were winning. But look at their percentages. S&D and Uplink, 100%. Hardpoint, technically their worst at 66. They've only dropped 1 map, though. You know, that's 66%. That's just 1 hardpoint they lost, and that was against Enigma 6 on the very first game of their weekend.
Of course, we have been saying that the Twins are pretty nasty at Call of Duty for a while, but it isn't just the Twins. You look at Silly's performance yesterday, making some game-changing plays. Clay as well. It seems like this team, is it a honeymoon period potentially, do you think, or?
I mean, when you bring in someone like Clay, it's not like United was really struggling that much. It was a championship-winning team already. You bring in Clay, he knows how to win, obviously, and now he has that fire lit, you know, better than ever. So the fact that he's got these guys fired up, Prashini's playing better than ever, Arshi's playing better than ever, Silly's been extremely consistent as well. So they've been cruising, man. They've only lost that 1 map, right? So they're just kind of hanging out. Envious's matches have been very tough thus far. You know, the FaZe match, down to the wire. That match versus LG, down to the wire. So E United sort of on the different page, just kind of chilling. Right. The Optic series was close, but it was a comfortable win for the most part.
I was just going to say, in terms of E United, I mean, in all 3 game types of Cross, they look the strongest in each, right? There's not like a weakness. Luminosity, their weakness this weekend, S&D again. You know, for teams like Optic Gaming, still those respawns have been a weakness. E United doesn't look like they have one so far, and that's why they're in the winners bracket final. Their teamwork has just been on point. Beautiful Call of Duty gameplay from those guys.
Yeah, composure as well has definitely been up there for E United, closing out games where it looks like they may start to get away from them, but no, they aren't choking those games, that's for sure. Now we'll take a look at our losers bracket, of course. Optic Gaming late last night with a Game 5 win over FaZe Clan. That series was definitely impressive. And then, of course, Luminosity, they 3-0'd Fnatic. But, I mean, we'll start the conversation with Optic Gaming. I mean, you expect, Teep, that they got a ton of confidence from that Game 5 victory late last night.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a decent amount of momentum. LG, kind of an easy series to close out yesterday. So, speaking towards Optic, though, it just seems like there's several teams that are actually just better than them now. And it's just still weird saying that, looking at this roster. But overall, the fact that respawns are still such a struggle, you know, Search and Destroy is still quite strong, obviously. So LG definitely has their work cut out for them in that type. But if they get outslayed, who's going to make those game-changing plays? I don't know who to pick at this point.
It does feel very much more like the fear factor just no longer is there.
Yeah, fear factor seems to have disappeared. Yes, definitely a contender to win this playoffs, to win champs, etc. But I just love the competition that we have, and I think it was one of the Optic Gaming members in their interview that you may see before the games. They say you know, these 8 teams, there's probably 5, 6 that could win it this weekend. Obviously, we're down to 4, but any one of these teams can win it. And there's been so many years where we've gone, we pretty know what the final's going to be. This year, this playoff, this champs, we don't have a clue. I mean, yes, LG have been phenomenal. Splice won the last playoffs. They're out at 8th. I mean, it's just incredible to kind of see such talented players against each other. And
obviously for Luminosity Gaming, I mean, what an event they've had so far in terms of stats, I think it's fair to say. Obviously, get a little unfortunate in a crazy, crazy series to not come into the losers bracket, Merc, but for LG, they still do look like a #1 contender.
I mean, how dangerous is this team, right? Classic probably better than ever. Octane still probably the best player in the world right now. Slacked and Saints, we haven't touched on them, you know, at times, but they're still so good. And again, the issue just becomes that search and destroy, that throwback hardpoint. If they don't throw that away against Envy, they're in the winners bracket final, but they lose both searches. That's what we said. If this team, if they're able to just win one search a series, well, they'll win championships. That's what they were able to do at Anaheim. They have to step it up in those games 2 and 5 today, because teams like United, teams like Optic Gaming, they will win respawns versus them.
Very true, of course. Luminosity Gaming versus Optic Gaming will be our first game of the day. Excited for that one, but moving forward, I want to talk to you guys a little bit now about who's impressed you from yesterday and who needs to step up. Of course, only talking about players who are still in the tournament. It'd be very easy to pick on those that are already eliminated. So I'm actually going to start with Merc. In terms of who's impressed you the most, who you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm looking at Envy's hard carry this weekend. I'm looking at Slasher. This guy's been an absolute monster. 1.22, 27 kills per respawn in that Slayer category. S&D 1.9. I mean, if it wasn't for him in respawns, this team would be getting, I mean, they almost are getting a 100-point club to every single hard point, so this guy's just been an absolute beast this weekend. Slasher
basically wearing a cape on main stage, it feels like. Momo, for you, who are you looking at?
I've gone for United. I've looked at the Twins this time. I've gone for Prestini. For me, he has been, you know, a very, very strong and consistent player. The one kind of series that really stands out for me is the one against Optic Gaming. His respawn versus Optic was fantastic. You can see he's sitting at a 1.0. But a lot of the time for me, he is that entry kill. He is that person, you know, putting himself out there, and to come out with a 1.0 when you've got the likes of Clay right behind you, fantastic. His S&D sitting at 1.6 as well. Overall, fantastic player.
Definitely stepped up to the plate with the departure of Gunless. Teep, who's impressed you the most from yesterday?
Varsity's for me on the side of United, 100%. The KD and the respawn a little bit low, but what did it for me is the fact that he's bringing so much hype alongside Clay. When he got that 3-piece on throwback yesterday, and he kind of got up and got hyped for a second, I think I flinched for a second. I got scared. He looked like he was going to tackle his monitor. He's getting fired up like that. I think, you know, you throw the KD out in that regard. The Twins, yes, you look at those KDs and be like, oh, well, they're not doing anything that special. Completely disagree. They're fantastic.
Now, of course, moving to the other side, Merc, who needs to step up today?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably pick every other player on Envy, but I went with JCap. I mean, just in terms of his Slayer in the respawns, just not very good. Their S&D has really been their saving grace, but 0.63, 16 slaying, that's just way too low if they want to win a championship today.
Definitely is, but S&D KD not looking too bad there at a 1.3. Moving forward, Memo, who are you looking at?
I've gone again with Envy, and I think picking Apathy here for me. I just think if they want to go on a run, you know, in this tournament and really make a spot for that first position, you know, I think every player needs to step it up, except maybe Slasher. But Apathy, yeah, he's sitting at 21 for his Slayer rating. That's the number which, you know, is not terrible. But for Apathy, I think he's a player which can kind of change a game single-handedly, and I think he's the man to step it up alongside maybe John.
It could definitely increase to your point there. And then finally, Teep, who are you looking at to step up here on Championship Sunday?
I'm going on the Optic side of things and go with Crim6. I think it's him or Karma that's been the liability in terms of slaying at times for these guys. I think they have much higher level problems, but Crim's the guy for me that needs to really get them in gear and figure stuff out, especially going into champs. He's been too weak for me. He's not been that, you know, most winning player of all time in Call of Duty. He hasn't been that same Crimbot. Where'd that slaying guy go? I haven't seen it. He needs to step it up here if they're going to take this championship.
He most definitely does. Of course, the first game of the day, like I said, Optic Gaming take on Luminosity. Real quick, predictions down the line. Merc, I'm with you.
I'm going to go Optic Game 5.
Optic Game 5.
I'm going to go LG in 4.
LG in 4. Teep.
I like Joe's pick, Optic 5.
Optic in 5. Okay, so the stage is set.
Duo!
God damn it. This series, of course, I think is going to be a fantastic way to start off the Stage 2 Playoffs Championship Sunday. You really couldn't ask for a better one. Optic Gaming looking to take on Luminosity Gaming. Luminosity, of course, in many people's eyes, still considered the best team in the game. But they have to go on a little bit of a loser's bracket run today if they're going to walk away with that championship. Of course, we've seen them in the past 2 grand finals. And sitting in front of them now, as I said, the Green Wall. This is not an easy task by any means. But Championship Sunday here at the Stage 2 Playoffs starts right now.